Welcome to the Tourism AI podcast, where we talk about all things at the intersection of artificial intelligence and tourism. Today we have on the show who's somebody who you might be seeing a little more often, I hope, which is Kendall. So Kendall is our I don't even know what your title is, Kendall, because you know me, and I'm not big into titles, so I'll let you introduce yourself. But really, Kendall is our person at Tourism AI Network that actually makes things happen. She's our leader at Tourism AI Network that supports the work I do, and is honestly the most invaluable person on my team. So I really appreciate Kendall, and if you've worked with Tourism AI Network, you've probably worked with Kendall and you've appreciated her too. So that is Kendall, my description and introduction. But Kendall, why don't you properly introduce yourself with formalities?
Gosh. Well, thank you. You're going to make me start giggling here. But I think my official title is AI Adoption Manager. Let's go with that. So, like you said, really just like I am your support. I'm your right hand lady, and I'm here to help move things forward at all things Tourism AI Network. And also some pieces of CIPR as well, which is super fun to have that mix. And maybe we can talk more about that after. But definitely exciting things. Always learning lots.
Now let's
So
get a little HR inappropriate here and say that when Christina, my business partner and wife, and I were talking about needing to bring on a person such as Kendall, we said Peter needs a new work wife, because my current work wife or my current wife can't also be my work wife. So and there's a little teasing there, but really I just need somebody that's there to support, to help when wherever, however. And Kendall's been amazing at that, and I feel like that's kind of like the role of the work wife, I guess. And Christina played that role for many years, but got really busy with her own stuff, and she needed somebody else to. She needed me to have somebody else to go talk to. So thank you, Kendall, for playing all the roles you play.
love it. It keeps it
All right, so
interesting.
we're
I
going to
like.
talk today. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I love being a part of a small team. I love the all hands on deck mentality, and I think that it makes us a lean, mean fighting machine where everyone kind of just jumps in where needed. So happy to be that
Totally.
person.
Nice. All right, so we're going to basically talk today a little bit about the state of the kind of AI in tourism, in context, a little bit about the Tourism AI network. So, I guess for a little bit of background, or I think we've been at this now for just about 18 months, and it's been a journey, and it's been a process. And I would just say that 18 months ago we were early in this conversation, despite the fact that there was a lot of interest in people hearing about AI and AI in tourism. And so I spoke at a lot of conferences, got out quite broadly, and really got a good feel for kind of where people were at. Through speaking at conferences, I really witnessed AI use exploding. So what I mean by that is whenever I speak and provide a presentation at a conference, I always ask a number of questions. Number one is who uses AI for their work, and to which always, well, actually, when I first started very early, it was like 20% of people would raise their hands even for that question. And as I kept going and giving presentations, the number of people that would raise their hand to that question would increase dramatically. And so I would say that in the last keynote I gave, it was probably 80%, 90% of people in the room said, yes, I use AI at work. And then, I asked some follow-up questions. For example, who has a paid account to a large language model, a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. And again, it was actually when I first started, it was literally like one person in the room, if one person. And in the last keynote, I would say probably maybe 25-30% of people said that they used a paid account. And then I would ask a series of other questions like around who's using custom GPTs or tools like them, who's customizing their AI, and all those types of things. And again, low numbers increasing. So, overall, I've seen a change in the industry, and I've seen a change in adoption just through my informal polling. But it's kind of interesting in the sense that I still think that we are still very, very early in the tourism industry when it actually comes to getting good value and really using AI effectively. And so, that's a little bit of observations over the past little while. And we've been obviously doing a lot of things in terms of programming and services and training and all kinds of things. And I'm sort of feeling like things are about to kind of take a new phase, if you will, in this whole journey. So that's kind of my background or my observations. Kenny, why don't you Obviously, you've been here for a little bit shorter than me, but what have you observed so far?
Yeah, much of the same. Of course, I'm not at the conferences and the keynotes, but we do a lot of our kind of group training in our webinars, and kind of that same evolution. You know, we have people who are joining who are familiar. They've used the tools, but I mean, and we all are guilty of this. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So even though like people use the tools and they feel like they're getting good value for them, until you start doing like that little bit of extra training and seeing what's capable, and what more you can get out of them, I think it's always, every time we do like a training session or a webinar, there's like always those aha moments. There's always those, like, you can just see that people are like light bulbs going off, like, oh my God, I'm getting so much more out of this now. And I will say, like, even maybe in the last few months, people who are joining definitely seem to be a little bit more advanced in their use, um, which is great because it means that we can kind of meet them where they're at and jump in even further ahead and get even deeper in the tools with them. So I think there is that kind of evolution, but like overall, there's still a lot of people who are kind of just scratching the surface. And you know, those are our group sessions, and I know you do a lot more the one-on-one training, the intuition sprints that we do, which I think, like, from the feedback I've heard and the few that I've sat in on, seem to be the most valuable thing we offer, because it's, you are meeting with somebody where they are and like hand holding through their actual work. So I guess I'm going to throw it back over to you, just because you have those one-on-one opportunities with people all the time. And like, what are you seeing a shift there too? Like you're saying with the conferences and stuff, are you seeing that same shift when you're working one-on-one with people?
Yeah, what's kind of interesting about what I've noticed is it really has gone from what is a custom GPT or what are you talking about, customize my GPT, to like people now having like using these tools. And like, so these are, if for context of ChatGPT, obviously these are tools inside the ChatGPT interface. They're like almost like sub tools that you can use to customize your outputs, get more accurate outputs, those types of things for people who don't know. So I've definitely noticed an increase in the number of people now that are actively using those tools inside but there's still a huge lack of knowledge in terms of how to effectively use those tools and how to get the most out of those tools. And one of the conversations that I've been having more and more of, even in the last 2 weeks, with respect to intuition sprints or kind of one-on-one training, is really context engineering and really getting really granular. So in terms of, even our, we started off offering an AI roadmap, and it's really evolved a lot. And, we're working on one right now, Kendall, together, where, we're really laying it out. It's like, okay, here's a list of GPTs that would make sense for your organization. Here's a library of context that would make sense. Not even libraries are the wrong word, but a set of context documents that would make the most sense for your organization. Here's how to organize yourself. Having lots of conversations about file organization, and honestly, having just lots of conversations about technology in general. Like, it's a very interesting thing, because it's like a lot of people are thinking about technology a lot, but there's not a lot of guidance out there. And obviously, there's a lot of systems, right? So that's the other thing I'm learning a lot, is that, people have a lot of tools and a lot of systems. And it just seems like the more tools and systems we have, the less productive and the less clear things are becoming. So we're kind of like all lost, I feel like, a little bit in all of it. So as much as people are getting more, they're coming with a little more experience, they still really don't know what they don't know, and they really, I think personally, obviously, think gain a lot from the one-on-ones. And it's really about sort of systems thinking. So it's less about here's how to use the basic tools, and now more about systems thinking, and more about context engineering, and a little bit more about, when to use which part of the large language model. So definitely kind of, I would say, sort of a phase 1B, but I don't think we're in phase 2 yet, I guess is the way I describe it.
Yeah, I think there is so many tools out there that it really gets overwhelming for people. It's like decision paralysis, where there's just too many options, so you don't make any decision. And I really appreciate that, about our training, because as you know, I've sat in on some other training and webinars with the Project Management Institution, and their webinars, it's like we're using 10 different tools. They're all paid tools. And there's just no way that, like, myself, I'm not going to pay for all those and use them all. But even like as an employer or employee, like, it just gets to be impossible. So I do appreciate that we kind of switched our training to really focus in and hone in on just like one or two tools. Um, and I think that just like helps simplify people or simplify it for people. So we've kind of like, I think, put more of a focus on simplification, both on our services and just like our community approach. And moving into the fall, I know that's come from like 18 months of doing different things that we've been working on. Why? I guess that's what's inspired the focus on simplification. But how do you think that's going to like shift our offering and just our service to the tourism industry?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think, and I'm gonna maybe make a comment about something you said is, first of all, I think that I think that AI has been oversold, and people's perceptions about what it can do today is misaligned. And so to your point is there's a lot of tools being sold to people of like, just get this tool, it'll like magically solve all your problems. Like that doesn't work that way, right? It's like get a tool means learn a tool, figure out how to use the tool, get frustrated with the tool, probably give up on the tool, pay for the tool for 6 months, and then, say I didn't get value from the tool. Like that is unfortunately the path that most people take, because we are all busy. We don't have time learning more tools. So to your point, simplifying around one tool, and even simplifying, even not around tools as much as simplifying around um, concepts, foundational concepts, right? And so, like, again, we're having a lot of conversations about just, okay, how do you save documents and how do you structure files in a way that's going to make sure that number one, your humans understand them better. But as we get into a more kind of sophisticated agentic AI future, so that your AI agents can handle them better, right? And so really stepping back and, I hear this all the time, people asking me, oh, is there a tool I can just get that will do this for me? And like the answer 99% of the time is, well, ChatGPT can do that for you, or Gemini, or Anthropic's Claude, right? So like really there's the foundational models, which are those, those three main ones I just named are probably the core foundational models. And it's like really getting really good at understanding how to use those tools, but more importantly, actually understanding a systems thinking approach in terms of how to structure work, because that's actually fundamentally what we're talking about is like it's actually not how to restructure work, it's like actually how to properly structure work the way we should have done it in the first place, but humans are kind of didn't do the work. It's kind of like not the sexy, it's like I keep telling everybody, this is like you have to do all this unsexy work right now
Mm-hmm.
because it needs to be done in order to prepare for. But, too bad most organizations didn't do that before, but I understand. Like that's hard work, right? Keeping files organized, having standard operating procedures written down, streamlining processes, like that's very hard work and that doesn't make money. Or at least the perception is it doesn't make money, but actually if you spend the time on that, that actually is what gives your company lift and scalability. So it actually does make money. So anyways, it's just fascinating for me to kind of see that sort of transition back to where core of businesses should be thinking.
Yeah, I think that it's almost surprising. I know that in lots of the training sessions where you kind of like start there, where it's like, okay, like we're deep diving in, but to start, we need to ensure that all of our files are properly cleaned up and old stuff's archived and everything's like has this proper naming convention. It's like I don't think that's the immediate place where people think that AI, like that's kind of like the beginning of the journey. It's like even ourselves, right? We're kind of in this push to standardize our own filing and naming conventions. I mean, I think we do a fairly decent job, but obviously always can be improved. So yeah, do you think that's pretty surprising for people?
I think it is surprising, and I just to be clear for this call, like for this podcast, is like we also spend a lot of time in the tools, learning, showing people how to properly prompt and all those things. Like so, that's not, but uh, the bigger picture is kind of what you're talking about, and yeah, I think it is surprising for people, and I just don't think, it's like I told somebody in a training session the other day, it's like it's kind of like thinking we are now data scientists or data engineers or software engineers, but using English and structure as our like language, right? And that's sort of like how to think about this. And yeah, I think that's really surprising to people, right? I think people just think, oh, well, I just put in my what I wanted to do and it didn't spit it out. And well, and it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't know anything about what you want to do, right? It's like you have to first train it. And so again, I think for me in terms of the training sessions and how to approach it is really helpful to use analogies, right? So, think about it, you're going to just bring in a new employee, they're starting in 2 weeks. what would you do to prepare your structure, your organization, your files, all that stuff to set that employee up for success? Like that's actually how to think about using AI tools, right? And so, yeah, I think that's I think that's a good way to frame it for people, so that they kind of can contextualize it. But if you're somebody that actually hasn't ever had an employee start, that's still hard to understand, right? So, you know, I think for senior leaders, they kind of get that right away. Whereas for more junior employees, that's a bit of a harder kind of concept to get your head around, right? So yeah, so and again, it is a mix of this systems thinking and approach and this kind of context engineering, but also just like getting your hands dirty in the tools, trying different, large language models versus deep research, projects and things like that. So I think it has to be a mix of both. The final thing I'll say about what I've observed and what's going to change in the fall for us, getting back to your original question, is I think in terms of the intuition sprints and or the one-on-one training programs that we do, I was kind of been loosey-goosey with them in terms of, oh yeah, you can bring all those people to the training or whatever, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Because I don't think it's productive for people to just sit and watch. And every single person's job is completely unique and different. And so I'd rather actually honestly drop the prices a little bit, make it more accessible for people, and just be able to do more kind of one-on-one sessions because I think the one-on-one format is critical for people to really kind of get it. And it's crazy to
Hmm.
think about. Like we literally have to go through like one-on-one, employee by
Well, it makes
employee to
sense.
some extent.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense because everyone's at a different place, right? And like you said, they have different jobs. So I have two comments about what you were just talking about there. The first was that you just said you'd be willing to drop the price a little bit to get more people through, and this is something I've consistently seen you do, offering added value, lowering the price here and there. I just feel like you are so passionate about the tourism industry and like what you're teaching. Where does that come from? Like, what kind of drives you to ensure that the tourism industry like adopts and gets the value from this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things. So first of all, I think that people like myself and people that love tourism just didn't get into tourism to sit at a computer all day and write reports and do very menial work that's mind-numbing. So I guess to me, ultimately, what drives me is I've had the aha moments of how AI can change the way I work and change my life in a very positive way, and I just feel like I want to pass that on to people. Like that fundamentally at the core is hey, there's a better way to work. And, I kind of like I joke to a lot of people, but I'm not joking. Like my ultimate win out of all of this is when we have like, Wi-Fi around the world so that you can be connected anywhere. And I'm literally working with ChatGPT, using audio, climbing a mountain, and like getting work done. Like that is to me, like that is success. And so I think we can get there. But, even if it's not that, it's just spending less time in the office in front of a screen, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, using the tools to their, so that really is what drives me. But yeah, the other piece that drives me ultimately is I kind of started Tourism AI Network for the purpose of building a community because, quite frankly, Kendall, my job is lonely, and so community is good, and so the more people we can get in front of and just sort of have a positive impact on, and the more community we can build, because I fundamentally think that as an industry, I'm sort of just trying to ignite spark, and then I'd love for people to just kind of keep things going and build it organically on their own and sort of find those wins on their own and build little networks on their own. Like that would be the ultimate win for me in AI adoption in tourism. And me continuing to play a role to just keep kind of sparking and getting people excited. That would be kind of the ultimate win for me.
Yeah, well, let's talk about our community for a second because we have the Tourism AI Academy, and we'll make sure that in the description for this podcast we have a link to get there. So we have over 200 tourism professionals from across the country in there so far, and we are really wanting to encourage people to join that, obviously. So within that platform, we have our free webinars that we're doing. We have ebooks, we have a free course, and just a community of people. I know, Peter, you're often posting in there just like little tips and different tools that you come across. Yeah, I guess I'll just throw it over to you there too to do to talk about the community a bit as well.
Yeah, so again, my vision has always been to build a network and a community and a place where people, like-minded people, can go and collaborate. Full disclosure, it's been really hard, and it's not where I want it to be. I want it to be much bigger, much more robust. So that is up it on our to-do list, as you know, Kendall, over the next little while, is to figure out how to make that more robust. And it's hard too because the other observation I made about tourism in all of the work we've been doing is just how busy tourism people are. It's like the little time that you spend in front of your computer, you're just trying to get the work done as quickly as possible because you have meetings and stakeholder events and guests, and right, like it's a very, very demanding job. And so like to ask people to be on an online community and to engage on there is probably, it's pretty challenging, right? And so I think we just need to recognize it for what it is. But having said that, hopefully people can find some time, and there are tons of resources, videos, how to's. My kind of goal in the direction, as you know, I gave the team here, Kendall, is I want that community to be like the most valuable thing that people kind of have available to them in tourism related to AI. And so I think we could have done a better job over the last little while. We've got some plans to do a better job on that and to really engage hard. And we're just going to keep adding value and putting value into that community, and just going to keep going. And I sort of feel like we're in this if we build it, it'll come phase, as I mentioned to you before, and I feel like it's coming. That's the other interesting thing about the fall. I feel like I feel like the mindset is starting to shift in the tourism industry around AI and AI adoption in a very positive way. And so, I think there's been some early excitement, but people are really busy. And so finding the time to learn has been a challenge, but I think there's more people are feeling more motivated than I've seen so far to date in terms of like learning. And so I think the communities there certainly as a kind of at your own time. And then, other programs we're doing will be available, at times that we make available. So a couple examples. One thing I should mention is we've significantly reduced some prices, and or we've made, for example, a free intro to AI webinar that we're going to be doing monthly. That's going to be sort of a rolling webinar that we're going to people could just join, and it's really give you that 5,000 foot view of what this AI thing is, why it matters, why you should be thinking about it, and maybe how you should be thinking about it. And then we're going to be also doing the deep dive into ChatGPT at a significantly reduced price, and we may reduce all of our programs, our training programs, to be determined. We're just doing some testing right now, so that's a little bit of, I guess, so it's changing. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so we'll post the link to the courses and webinars in the podcast description as well. Just the one note I wanted to make about the community that, even as it grows, what I think is really cool about it is because, there's DMOs in every city and town and province across Canada, there are, certain roles that you can connect with other people doing your same role in different communities across the country. So whether you're in marketing or whether you're in comms or in destination development, there's other people in the community in those same roles. And I think it's a really great opportunity to, even outside of like connecting with us or doing the webinars, just connecting with those people and maybe just learning something from them about how they're using AI. I know someone posted in there from Northwest Territories about they work in a restaurant and they use it to help them do their food ordering so they can eliminate waste. Like how helpful for another restaurant operator or like a different tourism operator of any kind to get those tips from each other. So what we're hoping too is that even outside of what we're offering is that these tourism professionals can start talking to each other and sharing tips amongst themselves as well. And then the community is the
Yeah.
conduit to that.
Exactly, yeah. And I really think that what I'd love to see, and maybe I'm overly ambitious, or I don't know, is meetups in cities around AI adoption and tourism, for example, right? And again, we're going to do everything we can to facilitate. My goal is just to facilitate as many conversations as possible and to get people as engaged as possible in this conversation, because quite frankly, Kendall, you and I talk about this a lot, but I think we're going to start to really see some impacts of this. So I should mention that as enthusiastic as I am about AI and its opportunity for tourism, I have a lot of hesitations and concerns as well. And I think that people need to be having conversations on both sides of things, right? So also concerns, and also what we should be kind of thinking about as a society as we think about AI adoption. And I've written a couple blogs about this. One of them is "Don't Sleepwalk into AI." and I referenced social media as kind of we walked into social media and it sounded like a fun thing and it was great. And yes, there are many benefits of social media, but there are also some drawbacks that we're now learning about kind of like 10 years later in terms of impact on political systems. And, you can go on and on and on about some of the challenges there, right? And so, you know, it's a balanced conversation that I think people need to be having in tourism. So again, my goal with the tourism AI, the circle community is really just to try to spark as much conversation and a place for people to virtually meet. Um, and maybe we'll make some partnerships where we can sponsor or support some in-person meetups one day. Who knows?
Yeah, speaking of partnerships, I know we do our biweekly AI Minute with TIBC. So, you spoke about your blogs there. There's something going out to industry in British Columbia on a biweekly basis. And that partnership for us is very invaluable. So, like in tourism, I think especially partnerships is a huge thing. Like, what role does partnerships play for us moving forward?
Yeah, so for me, it's like the number one thing, actually. So let's just talk about Industry Association of British Columbia because they are definitely our number one partner on really supporting kind of the rollout of this in British Columbia, right? And so really critical partner, and Walt's been amazing at providing us with support. And so you mentioned, for example, Peter's AI Minute, which shows up in their newsletter every 2 weeks with some information and tips and tricks and sometimes some self-serving content, depending on the situation, about AI and tourism. But Walt's also been generous enough to certainly, have me at his conference multiple times now. And certainly, there's been many, many avenues provided to me through that partnership. And so that's just important because at the end of the day, I know, and I've been around tourism long enough that, people in tourism, many of them have been working in this industry for a long time. They have long-standing relationships, lots of very good friendships, which is amazing. And so sometimes for some outsider to come in and sort of start to, talk about some new thing, can be, a little bit hard for people. So to me, those partnerships just help us build credibility for our message and our story. But really, our goal is comes down to supporting those partners and supporting those associations and helping them lead this conversation on AI adoption in their jurisdictions, in their DMOs, in their businesses, right? So, I see it as this two-way kind of street. And I have a couple of TIA organizations across Canada now that we're having conversations about doing a dedicated newsletter. And again, it's just about to me, it's just about getting this information into as many people's hands as possible so that they can start to think about and take action in terms of what it means for them, right? And so yeah, those are critical. And as I'm thinking about the future here, Kendall, I think we should have a full partnerships person. So maybe coming soon.
There you go. Well, thinking about the future, what like in your ideal situation, magic wand, AI could do it. What does like 6 months from now look like for TAIN for Tourism AI Network?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Actually, I'm trying to build it right now. As you know, Kendall, it's going to be called Tourism Ops AI. But to be honest with you, I don't know yet. It's a harder challenge than I was expecting because, really to build a product around or a service and a product around solving a problem, really needs to be focused. And so for me, if you ask me the question, I know the answer, and it's basically kind of, and I might build this, but like a marketing agent AI or AI agent that I can help with the marketing and communication support functions and sort of, you know what I mean? But for actually what we're building is probably going to be, I think where I'm narrowing it down is to very, very specific focus for DMOs and regional DMOs and any organization that basically gets funding from a third party and has to report. So the number one thing I've found as the pain point in the industry of tourism is reporting. Obviously in BC, the MRDT report, but across jurisdictions, any tourism levy or tourism tax report, municipal government grant reports, other government grant reports, students coming into your organization for student program reports. I mean, there is report after report after report after report. It's actually been really shocking to me, Kendall. Really, we've been deep diving into kind of like the reporting that all these organizations do, and like if they're not out doing amazing work promoting tourism, They're reporting. And so if we can solve the reporting challenge, they will have more time to be out supporting and doing amazing work in tourism, which again, fundamentally, back to my ideal kind of working environment, it's like that's the ideal. It's like people came to this industry because they want to go out and build and support and do amazing things around the tourism industry. So that is, I think, kind of as narrow as we're going to really start narrow and build basically a report automation tool and dashboard that will allow DMOs and other organizations to just quickly get the numbers they need, quickly write the reports to give the humans more time to do the thing.
Love it. So in 6 months, we're going to have an amazing reporting tool, robust community of tourism, people from across the country, and we'll be doing training and helping as many people as we can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I love it.
those are the goals.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, if there is a DMO or a tourism operator listening right now and they haven't explored AI, what should we tell them? What's the first step that they should do?
Yeah, so certainly I would say the number one, the easiest place to get some information about AI and tourism is just the Tourism AI Network website. So tourismainetwork.com. On that website, we have a lot of information about AI learning. We have information about our courses. We have a whole bunch of resources, podcast, blog, all of it. And then obviously there's an opportunity in there to join the free online community. So there's a banner right at the top of the website and many other places where you can find how to join. That's sort of like the easy starting point, but really, I would really encourage people under the AI learning tab. There's a sub tab called Fall 2025 AI Training Calendar. And as I said, we're offering free intro to AI courses starting, I think, next month. We're also going to be doing a very, very heavily, kind of basically very heavily discounted, like deep dive into ChatGPT course. And then there's also information on there about our two kind of core programs. The first, which is our AI Intuition Sprint, which is a one-to-one or small group coaching. Helping you kind of like use AI on your own processes and your own job to learn how to use AI. And then we have a broader AI adoption framework process, which is really helping your organization adopt AI in a very systematic way, helping you with things like AI policies and principles, building some structure around AI adoption, helping you build an AI council, and giving you a bit of a roadmap on sort of where to start, how to think about the next 1 year, 12 months in terms of how to adopt AI systematically in your organization. So those would be kind of the main things. And otherwise, obviously, like and subscribe to this podcast. We're going to be talking about all of these things consistently on this podcast for sure for a long time.
Yeah, I love it. And I just have to say, just want to add here at the end that as we're maybe speaking to some DMOs or tourism operators listening, one of my favorite parts about this job is that we get to work with them. I love that our clients are all in the tourism industry and I, like you said before, tourism people are fun. They love what they do. They're passionate, and I just feel so lucky that we get to work with them all. So
Honestly, Kendall, like sometimes we work with people in other industries and tourism people are our people. Like it's what it comes down
so
to,
true.
right? So
Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you to all the tourism people out there doing the amazing work you do. Thank you for being you. And if you need more AI in your life, reach out. We'd be happy to help. I guess it's on me to stop.